Hi there, well done for making it this far in the course. You're doing extremely well. In this video, we're going to start getting into slightly more advanced topics, starting with EQs, also known as equalizers. Now, once you've learned how to utilize EQs, your mixes are going to sound significantly better. So let's get right into it. Pretty much every mixer that you can buy should have EQs. On this mixer, I've got a 3-band EQ and I've got the high EQ band, mid EQ band and low EQ band. Now the function of an EQ is actually quite simple. It allows you to control the volume of individual frequency ranges. For example, the low EQ band can boost or attenuate the volume of the low frequencies. In other words, the bass. The mid EQ band can boost or attenuate mid frequencies. Now if you don't know, instruments such as pianos, vocals, guitars, and synthesizers occupy the mid-frequency range. And the high EQ band can boost or attenuate high frequencies. Now, instruments that occupy this range are mainly percussive instruments, such as shakers and hi-hats. However, a lot of mid-range instruments spill into the high-frequency range as well. In case you're still a bit confused, let me expand on this explanation a bit. All sounds are nothing more than vibrations in the air. The speed of those vibrations, or more accurately, the oscillations, determines their frequency. Now, higher pitched instruments generate higher frequencies, and lower pitched instruments generate low frequencies. So an equalizer module allows us to manipulate the intensity or volume of those frequencies independent of one another, whereas the normal volume control adjusts all of the frequencies equally. So EQs split the track into 3 bands and adjust the volume of each band independently of one another. So let's talk about how you can apply the use of EQs to improve your mixes. The first thing I want you to understand is that the low EQ, in other words, the bass, occupies the most amount of space in your mix. For example, if I play this track during the drop with the low EQ up, it sounds very full and punchy, but as soon as I turn the low EQ down, the track becomes much thinner and it loses all of its punch. Let me demonstrate this quickly. Here's the track during the drop with all the EQs turned up. Here's the track with the bass down. In other words, the low EQ turned down. Back up, back down, up, down. As you can see, it lost all of its punch when I turned the low EQ down. Okay, now that's all well and good. Bass is great, but too much bass can create the opposite effect and make your mixes sound horribly messy and muddy. So as a rule of thumb, you never really want the low EQ of 2 tracks turned up at the same time. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. For example, if one of the tracks doesn't inherently have too much bass, then it doesn't really matter if the low EQ is turned up. But I would still turn the low EQ down regardless, because it's still going to ensure that no matter what, your mixes are going to sound clean. So, every time you're about to turn up the volume of your new track, turn the low EQ down first, so when you bring it in and it's playing alongside the master track, you won't have the bass from both tracks present. Now I'm going to demonstrate this in just a moment, but like I said, this is going to make your overall mixes sound much better. So I've loaded 2 tracks here. This is going to be my master track that's playing, and I'm going to mix in this track. So check my BPMs, they're fine. Assign my headphone cue to my incoming track, and then I'll start playback on this. Now I'm not going to worry too much about phrases. This is just to demonstrate how the low EQs can affect your mix. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll press play on this one. 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. 5. Now before I turn it up, I'm going to turn the low EQ down. And then 8, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it is with the low EQ up. Really messy and muddy, and with it down. Okay? Now, once you've turned your tracks all the way up, there are many different ways to transition the track's low EQs, and we will be covering a bunch of them in this course. However, we're going to start with the most basic one, and I'll go through demonstrating it now. So it's very simple. As you saw, I turned up the track with the low EQ down, and then on the following phrase, what I need to do is turn the low EQ of the master track down, turn the low EQ of the new track up. Therefore, taking away the bass of our old track, bringing in the bass of our new track. Then we wait one more phrase and turn the volume down of our outgoing track down. So I'll go through the mix one more time, this time properly, starting from where the drop is, and I'll use this transition method. Let's begin. 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. Gonna beat match. Now, before I turn up the volume, I'm gonna turn the low EQ down. I'm cutting off the bass. 8, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm going to swap the bass. 8, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 1. And we're into the new track. All right. So hopefully you know what you're doing. So go ahead and practice this, and I'll see you in the next video.